Good evening and welcome to the June 24, 2009 Civil Service Commission meeting. Maybe I have roll call, please.
Commissioner Devine.
Here.
Commissioner Manukian.
Here.
Chair Karian.
Here.
And for the record, Commissioner Gantis and Coleman are absent.
Okay, what's next?
Minutes.
Move to approve and dispense from reading.
Second.
Wait a second. Can we have roll call, please?
Commissioner Devine.
Yes.
Commissioner Manukian.
Yes.
Chair Karian.
Yes. Next is oral communication. There's no oral communication. What's next after that?
Eligible list established.
Stoll.
Mr. Chair, members of the Commission, this item represents the eligible lists that have been established since our last meeting. There is one. This is a Program Coordinator, Youth Employment, which is in our Community Development and Housing Department. You see a total number of applications received and the total number who made it to the eligibility list. As I understand, this is a position funded through the stimulus program that we had talked about a few weeks ago, so we are well on our way to starting to fill those positions. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to try and answer them.
Any questions? What's next?
Class specification for approval, Executive Administrator, Verdugo Fire Communications.
Stoll.
Mr. Chair, if you indulge us, if we could move this item to after the other class specifications. Chief Scoggins is on his way, but informed us that he'd be a little late for tonight's meeting. So,
Okay, so why don't we take a number 6 now, and then we'll postpone number 5. If that's okay with everyone.
Yes.
Class specification.
Okay.
Yes, hopefully.
Class specification for approval, Energy Trading Manager.
Mr. Chair, members of the Commission, this item is a class specification for a newly established classification called Energy Trading Manager within our Water and Power Department. This individual will be heading up our energy marketing and trading section. It's a very vital, very active component within our water and power operation. This individual will oversee a number of different areas relating to the whole energy and marketing function. They'll have the traders under them, systems analysts, and they'll also be overseeing the contractors who handle our real-time trading. So it's a very, again, important function which we're incorporating into a managerial position. So with that, if you have any questions, we can review this specification. We do have staff here, Ms. Klein, who put this together, as is Steve Linz, who's the Assistant General Manager for our power operation.
Quick question. I believe about 3 weeks ago, 3 or 4 weeks ago, we had another one similar to this.
Energy trade?
Yeah, was it?
It might have been the energy marketer trader.
That's right.
Was that a bulletin or a specification? Okay. It was a recruitment bulletin, I believe.
Okay.
And we were requesting to make it.
Yeah,
it would work for this individual. So, but that was a request to do an open recruitment for that energy marketer trader position.
Okay.
Same section.
Any questions? What's your pleasure, gentlemen?
Move to approve.
Second.
Hold on a second. May you have roll call, please?
Commissioner Devine.
Yes.
Commissioner Manukian.
Yes.
Chair Karian.
Yes. What's next? Well, let's take number 7 next until we get Chief Scoggins. Will get here eventually, I'm sure.
Revised Class Specification Series for approval, Wireless Communication Series.
Mr. Doyle.
Mr. Chair, members of the Commission, this is a revision to the wireless communication series. This is operation within our Information Services Department that oversees really all the phones, radios, and that related technology. This specification is being updated. It's been about 5 years since we last looked at it, but really the primary change occurring to this is really the downgrading of one of the positions within the series. We had the series currently consists of a wireless systems technician, a senior technician, and there's a classification, supervisory classification called a wireless systems technologist/supervisor. And what we're doing is downgrading that position and taking away really the supervisory functions. So it's simply going to be called now wireless systems technologist. The position is it's a lower paying position. It's going from the Management Association to GCA, and really the purpose is to have an individual in that position who would really act as sort of an expert from a technical standpoint on dealing with these various systems, as opposed to having that role and also being in charge of supervision. It's a small enough work unit to where the current administrator has accepted the role of supervisor, and he'll oversee that part of the job. That's essentially the crux of the changes. And if you have questions, we can try and answer them for you. Rosie from my staff prepared the specification, and our information services administrator for our wireless section, Steve Horonic, is here as well if you have further questions.
Any questions?
To approve?
Second.
In a second. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Devine?
Yes.
Commissioner Manukian?
Yes.
Chair Abkarian?
Yes. What's next?
Revised class specifications for approval: cement worker finisher, equipment operator series, maintenance worker, motor sweeper operator, street maintenance series, tree trimming series, and wastewater maintenance series.
Say that again one more time. Let's go.
Members of the Commission, this is a request to revise each of these series. Most of these are within our Public Works operation. One of them, the maintenance worker classification, does have positions in GWP and Parks Department, but this was largely generated within our Public Works Department, and really it's an attempt to sort of beef up the driving standards that we have for these individuals. And we've had a number of situations where we've gone through an entire recruitment process, interviewed people, and made job offers, only to find out that some of these individuals have very poor driving records, license suspensions, restrictions, things like that, which we'd much prefer to catch those things up front rather than going through an entire process and having to deal with it after the fact. Safety in these jobs is absolutely paramount, and we want to make sure that the people we're hiring have good driving records and are going to operate city vehicles effectively and safely. Most of these positions, I won't say all, but most have commercial driver's license requirements with them, meaning they would be driving trucks and heavy vehicles out on the roads. So there's a variety of modifications to each of these specifications, but the consistent amendment that we're making here is really the requirement that they do a DMV printout, that they provide that along with their application, and then enable us to screen candidates based on that printout, depending on what the findings are. I don't know how you want to go through, if you want to go through each of these or just ask questions about the various elements within them, but we are here to answer those questions. Again, Ms. Akopian from my staff worked on these with the Public Works Department, and Dan Hargrove, who's the assistant administrator for our field operation in Public Works, is here as well.
What's the pleasure of the commission? If you have questions on some of these items, so Devine, do you have any questions on some of these items? If you do, then we can take them individually. If you don't, we can take them collectively. It's up to you.
I do not.
You do not. I would like to take them collectively as one packet. I know Mr. Giantis would probably have gone crazy when I said that, and we wanted to take them individually. Exactly. But we're going to take them collectively if that's okay with everyone. May I get a motion to
Move to approve.
Move to approve of the entire package collectively?
Everything.
And is there a second?
Second.
A second. Maybe have a roll call, please.
Commissioner Devine?
Yes.
Commissioner Manukian?
Yes.
Sheriff Carrion?
Yes. Okay, what's next?
Extension of assignments, Police Lieutenant.
Okay. Mr. Chair, members of the Commission, this is a request to the Commission to extend a couple of temporary appointments to the position of Police Lieutenant through the period of July 23rd, 2009. I'll refer you to the Rule 5, Section 9B3 of the Civil Service Rules, which require that once an eligible list has been established for a particular position, the department is to go ahead and fill those positions, and anything beyond 30 days would require the Commission's approval to continue those temporary appointments. The purpose of this being to ensure that once we do establish a list, that we go ahead and utilize that list and end any temporary appointments. This was sort of a unique situation in that these two positions actually got sort of mired in the budget discussions, and the department did seek to fill them, but was not given permission to fill them on a permanent basis. And there was some thought that these positions might not even be included in the next year's budget, but that's been changed. But essentially, this was brought up actually a few months ago. The chair had informed me of this situation, and eventually the city manager's office did allow the filling of these positions, and we were given some assurance that they were going to be filled, except that now it's taking a bit longer than we had anticipated, and a lot of it has to do with when the natural shift deployments are set to occur, which won't be until July 23rd. So we felt it prudent to, even though we did think it was getting taken care of, because of the amount of time that has elapsed, that we would bring this back to Commission just to get your blessing on that. If you have questions on this, I'd be happy to try and answer them. We have Interim Chief DePompa is here to also address this matter if you have concerns. So, Mr. Chair.
Questions? Yes.
I have several questions. I don't know if they'll go to you or to the chief, but under background, where it says, over the course of the last few months, the police chief has appointed 2 sergeants to serve as acting lieutenants. And the question is, what was the basis or criteria for those appointments? Were they given an exam, or were they just picked arbitrarily? Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the Commission.
Your name, please. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I am Assistant Chief Ron DePompa, and pleasure to address you tonight and let you know that those 2 sergeants that were selected were, in essence, the senior sergeants on those patrol groups. And as a result, there was the least amount of disruption to the organization to appoint them as existing members of the patrol group to run the watch in the absence of the lieutenant. And both have done a very capable job, and we have a great amount of confidence that they will continue to do so until we appoint the permanent lieutenants, which is scheduled to occur on July 23rd. Yeah, one of the actings, Sergeant Susan King, will actually be appointed to the permanent position.
Okay. That partially answers my third question, but the second question is, where it states the city manager's office approved the filling of these positions. Was that impacted at all by the budget session and the budget adoption last Tuesday?
Absolutely. As part of our options to balance our portion of the budget, it did include a few command staff positions, one of them being a lieutenant's position, so we were really uncertain until very recently as to whether or not we'd have cuts in that command level. Fortunately, the budget direction has been settled, and it has not included the lieutenant's rank.
Okay.
So we feel confident now we can proceed with those promotions.
Okay, and the last question you partially answered was, are the two sergeants that are in the acting positions the same ones that will be appointed to the positions, or will there be an exam given to allow other people to compete for those positions?
Well, the exam has been given, and there is an existing eligibility list upon which the top three candidates were considered for the appointment. Actually, the top four candidates were considered for the two appointments. And one of the actings was actually on the eligibility list and in a position where we were able to promote her.
Okay, that's all the questions I have.
Mr. Mnuchin.
Just a comment. With all the limited resources that you guys are given, I just want to say thank you for everything that you guys are doing and everything that they're putting you guys through, and just let you guys know that there are people out there that absolutely support and appreciate everything that you guys are doing.
Thank you very much, and we'll relay that message, and I know your support of what they do means a lot, and our people do a great job. They have a tough task ahead of them, and it's only going to get more complex as they have to essentially do more with less. So your support means the world to them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chief, could you tell him that doesn't get him off of any tickets, that if he gets a ticket, he still has to pay for it?
It may get him a few points.
I'd also like to echo that and say that I was very impressed with your presentation where you were asked to come back with a little different process for taking care of the budget, and I think your revised one was outstanding, and like council said, you did an outstanding job, and I just want to thank you from the standpoint of the Civil Service Commission for what you've done on that. Absolutely. Excellent job.
Thank you very much.
Move for
I appreciate
approval on
that.
this.
Second.
Okay, and I won't ask any more questions. I won't make a comment after that. No, I do want to make a quick comment. It has nothing to do with the police department, though. I think that the only thing that I would want, one of the appointments was on January 1st, 2009, and within 30 days under the rules, we were to be notified if that should have been extended. I would ask that in the future, as formality as that might be, that rule is respected, or we change that rule to give the city manager more power to extend that up to 6 months, or however you guys want to do it. But if there's a rule that should be respected by, especially with the personnel department, that should be caught immediately. No one should act as an acting for more than 30 days unless if it's approved by the Civil Service Commission, and that gives it a little bit more transparency that people aren't just acting as acting for a year and a half when they shouldn't be doing that for more than 30 days. I do understand that we postponed some of the meetings and all that, and I understand that complicated things, and I don't have any problems with that. That's just a comment having nothing to do with the police department, having to do with the procedure as to what we need to do with those appointments.
Agree 100%.
Yeah, I had to make a comment, though, before. Okay. Now I will take the motion.
Move for approval.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Can we have roll call, please?
Commissioner Devine?
Yes.
Commissioner Mnuchin?
Yes.
Sheriff Carrion?
Yes. Okay. Let's go back to number 5.
Chief Scoggins?
Yes, the chief is here.
Class specification for approval, Executive Administrator, Verdugo Fire Communications.
Mr. Chair, members of the Commission, this is a specification for, again, a newly established job classification of Executive Administrator for Verdugo Fire Communications. This is a management-level position which will be overseeing the entire operation of the Verdugo Fire Communications Center, which is sort of jointly run by the cities of Burbank, Glendale, Pasadena, but it also contains the emergency dispatch operations for, losing track now, is it 13 cities or 12 cities? Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. But it's a significant operation which has grown over the years. And the position, the management position in charge of Verdugo used to be a position of Fire Communications Administrator, but it was somewhat narrow in scope. and this position is being sort of revamped and expanded to really provide a fully reporting relationship to the 3 cities that are running the communications center. So there are a variety of other changes and things that we've updated on this specification to ensure that the individual hired has the necessary qualifications. So with that, I'll turn it over to you. As you know, Chief Scoggins is here, and Ms. Unanian from my staff worked on this.
Can't vote on it.
So
You got it. Any questions?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Chief Scoggins, do you want to come up, please? Go ahead.
Okay. Good afternoon. Hi, Chief.
Good afternoon.
I know some of these questions don't really pertain to what we have to do, but this is just out of kind of an academic interest that I have. Is there a pay increase in going from the existing communications supervisor to this new position?
Yes, there is a pay increase going from the fire communications administrator to the executive administrator. I don't recall exactly what that is, but it is a pay increase.
Okay. And what will the fire communications administrator do now? In other words, this position is supposedly replacing that or taking over that position, so what is the existing position going to be doing, or is it going to be eliminated?
No, it's not going to be filled. This position will take over that role and a lot more. And to give you a bit of history with, I'm Harold Scoggins, Fire Chief. But to give you a bit of history with the Verdugo Dispatch Center, it's been in operation since 1979 as a joint agreement between the cities of Burbank, Glendale, and Pasadena to do dispatching, what started for 3 cities, and now it's up to 12 cities, which equates to 43 fire stations, almost 1 million population, and about 130 square miles with many, many resources. And there's a lot of things that come along as this growth has taken place. But one of the things that we have not grown is the responsibilities of the position. And that's one of the things that over the past year, myself and the fire chief of Burbank and Pasadena have had many, many meetings to upgrade this position to what we feel is an appropriate level. And this is a part of a bigger plan that is moving that actually will go before council next week for approval in the Verdugo Dispatch Agreement. And this really focuses on how Verdugo Dispatch will be governed into the future, and it will be able to allow us to expand the role of this person to manage this center to make sure we're covering all the bases for this dispatch center to grow.
And again, this center encompasses all these other cities, is that correct?
It dispatches for 12 agencies. The partner agencies are Burbank, Glendale, and Pasadena. And to see if I can remember them all here, but San Marino, South Pasadena, Monterey Park, Alhambra, Arcadia, Monrovia, Monterey Park, Montebello, most recently came in February 26. Sierra Madre, and there may be one or two I'm leaving out there, but it's a total of 12 agencies now.
Okay. Is there an individual in the center now that will step into this position, or will there an exam be given, or if so, will this person have a leg up on the exam, or how do you plan on filling the position?
Currently, we have an interim administrator under the classification of the old job title. Tonight, we're before you asking for permission to open up a bulletin to give an exam to fill this position. To answer the question, will the person in the position have a leg up on anyone else applying from the outside? Well, they may or they may not. It just depends on how they fare in the process. But to know and know the operation and know how it's grown and know the history and know where we're going may provide a person a leg up. But any qualified candidate from the outside would be able to compensate for all those things with the abilities that they will bring to the table.
Okay. And the last question has to do with where this fits into the operation. Normally when we get these org charts, they're shaded and we can kind of see where they fit in, but I'm just guessing now that under your total organization, under administration, you have a box called Verdugo Dispatch. And am I to assume that this org chart where it shows the new executive administrator, this whole operation fits into that one box? Is that?
No, it doesn't fit into that one box. That shows our organization. The first chart you held up shows the Glendale Fire Department's organizational structure and where Verdugo fits in our organization. And what that shows is one of our battalion chiefs is assigned to a couple of committees under the Verdugo Dispatch Center. One is the Operations Committee, which really guides the day-to-day operations along with the executive administrator's position on how Verdugo will be run from the operational perspective. That's what that chart shows. The other chart that you held up really shows the reporting structure of how this person will report to the 3 fire chiefs, Burbank, Glendale, and Pasadena, which we have all agreed that this will be the reporting structure. All other employees in Verdugo Dispatch will report basically to this position, but this position will report to the Tri-City Fire Chiefs.
So, if I understand that correctly, then this position will not be found in your total organization chart in terms of ultimately reporting to you.
No, and our organizational chart defines where our assignments are for the Glendale Fire Department. This is kind of an operation that's a bit outside of the Glendale Fire Department, but falls under the direction of the Glendale Fire Department. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that does. Thank you. That's all I have.
Any other questions?
Move for approval.
Second.
Move to approval. There's a second. Any questions? Go ahead. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Devine?
Yes.
Commissioner Manukian?
Yes.
Chair Karian?
Yes. What's next?
Agenda forecast.
Mr. Chair, members of the Commission, the agenda forecast illustrates the upcoming items for our next few meetings. On July the 8th, we will have the reorganization of the Commission, where you'll select a chair and vice chair.
I will be absent. Just found out from July the 2nd to the 17th, so I will not be attending that meeting.
We keep backdating this reorganization. Maybe we can just have me serve until next May, and let's see. You guys want to move that again to August 12th?
It's up to you guys.
Let's move the reorganization of the commission up to August 12th, 2009,
Okay.
and then what I would like to do as well is to review and make comments, if any, to the workforce demographics on August 12th as well.
Okay.
'Cause I would like to take a look at this, and if there's any comments, I'm sure we would like. So I would like to have an agenda so we can discuss this demographics as well.
Mr. Chair, I just so you know, I will not be here on the 12th,
You will not be? Okay.
taking a vacation.
How dare you? How is that possible?
So
Well,
we could still
you know,
discuss that if you like.
For the reorganization, I think we can do that on the 12th if you're not here, but for the demographics, I would like you to be here. So if we can move that to August 26th, if that's okay with everyone. Mr. Devine?
Aye.
Absolutely.
Any other comments about the agenda? Any changes? Stoa? Okay.
Yes, that's fine.
Okay. What's next?
Reports and information.
Any reports?
Just to indicate that you've each been handed the aforementioned workforce demographics report. This is a report that's compiled annually by our internal audit section. We run all the numbers, statistics on our workforce demographics as a whole, and both by departments and by different managerial groups and things like that. So it's a wealth of information, and I hope you do find some benefit to it. And per your direction, we'll have discussion on that in August. So that is all
First,
I
I think just a quick comment. I guess do that next. What's next?
Civil Service Commissioner, staff comments.
Any comments? Okay, I'll make one then. First of all, just an incredible amount of work that goes into this book. I don't know if people realize just the amount of information that's in here and the amount of time that it takes to do this. So whoever was a part of this, and I think they should get credit for it, not only in the city council meeting, but they should be really commended for what they've done, because not only is this information important, but the amount of work that goes into doing it is just incredible. So for that, I want to thank them for doing it. And I have a question. How is it that some individuals always get their picture on this thing right on the front page every year after year after year? There must be some conspiracy.
Or are they getting paid for that? Or is there certain
there's
royalties involved here?
I don't know.
He gets a residual.
Some people get their face on this front cover year after year. I think there's a conspiracy, so we gotta have a investigation of this issue in the next few days. So we'll see what happens.
Call Scott Howard.
There you go. Okay. Any other comments?
Move to adjourn.
Well, we have no closed session, so there's a
Move to adjourn.
You're adjourned. Thank you.